From Delaware's most award-winning radio news team, this is WDEL Video News. Here's Chris Carl.
Among Delaware's top stories for Tuesday, March 20th, could budget cuts be in the state's future? A mostly peaceful protest in Wilmington against the war in Iraq, and calls for responsible growth in Newcastle County. Here are the details. A week after state agencies finished giving their wish list to the Joint Finance Committee, state financial forecasters say there may not be enough money to go around. WDEL legislative correspondent Carl Konevsky has the story.
Members of the Delaware Economic and Financial Advisory Council believe revenues will be down $13.5 million by the end of next fiscal year. J.J. Davis, director of the Office of Management and Budget, says DFAC meets 3 more times before next year's budget is finalized, but if the financial picture doesn't get rosier, cuts have to be made.
If this forecast were to hold, we would need to trim the governor's fiscal year '08 financial plan, somewhere in the order of, $10 to $15 million if you roll through the 2 fiscal years. But again, we always have contingency plans. We have a list if there's additional revenue, and we have a list if, again, if we need to trim at the margins.
Davis says discretionary costs will be the first to go if DFAC can't find additional revenue, but says Governor Minner already gave lawmakers an idea on how the state can make more money.
The governor's financial plan included a cigarette tax proposal. It does 2 things. One, it reduces teenage smoking. The second is that compared to surrounding states, it's competitive. We think the proposal has a lot of merits. I think with the slight dip in March DFAC, underscores the need for that increase in the cigarette tax.
The increase would raise the cigarette tax to $1 a pack, something House Republicans say they're opposed to. Reporting from Buena Vista, I'm Carl Konevsky, 1150 AM, WDEL.
County cops have identified suspects after 2 people opened fire on a group of men at the Lexington Green Apartments last week. Police are looking for 23-year-old Alex Gentile for the shooting in which the intended victim was shot in the foot. An innocent bystander was shot in the shoulder. Gentile is considered armed and dangerous. Police also have a warrant for 20-year-old Julius Williams. Today would have been Lindsey Bonestall's 22nd birthday. Instead, a jury will consider whether the man convicted in her murder should be sentenced to death. James Cook was thrown out of the courtroom again yesterday. Cook told the jury he never killed anyone nor raped anyone, and he argued against his defense lawyer's case and complained that evidence was planted. But the judge ended his comments when Cook told prosecutor Steve Wood there would be no hope for him if they went one-on-one. Prosecutors say Cook made a conscious choice to strangle Lindsey Bonestall with her own T-shirt, and that's why he deserves the death penalty. Delaware's insurance commissioner wants to make sure there are enough baby doctors in the first state. WDEL News continues in a moment.
As you look for your college experience, make sure you look at Wilmington College, your key to success.
A mostly peaceful protest in Wilmington against a violent conflict overseas. WDEL's Carl Konevsky has that story.
Activists marked the 4th anniversary of the war in Iraq by holding a ceremonial funeral march through the streets of Wilmington. Michael Berg, whose son was beheaded by Iraqi militants, says milestone days like this hurt the most.
April the 2nd is his birthday. April the 6th he got out of prison. April the 10th he was abducted. May the 7th he was killed. May the 10th we found out. May the 11th the story was posted on the internet. So they're all hard.
Protesters marched from Brandywine Park to the Federal Building carrying makeshift coffins representing dead Americans, Iraqis, and the possibility of dead Iranians should the president move troops into that country. With that in mind, Berg has a clear message for Mr. Bush.
Get a hold of yourself. Look what you've done. Look at all the death and sorrow you have caused, and stop it now.
Protesters held a die-in with 3 now facing charges of blocking the entrance of a federal building after being arrested by officers from Federal Protective Services. Reporting from Wilmington, I'm Carl Konevsky, 1150 AM, WDEL.
Insurance Commissioner Matt Dehn says his top legislative priority in 2007 is health care, including creating a statewide health insurance pool, regulation of medical discount cards, and making medical malpractice insurance more affordable so doctors, especially OB/GYNs, aren't chased out of Delaware by high operating costs.
It's absolutely inexcusable that a state with one of the nation's highest infant mortality rates is allowing a shortage of OBGYN doctors to develop. So for that reason, I'm going to once again urge the General Assembly to pass legislation creating a small subsidy for some of the hardest hit doctors to pay their malpractice premiums.
Dent says lobbyists for the healthcare industry can be a formidable presence in Dover, so it's up to Delawareans to let the General Assembly know what issues matter to them most. Newcastle County's revised plan for development still needs more work, according to a local civic group. WDEL's Curtis Gray reports.
When it comes to just how land will be used for future growth of your county, the Civic League for Newcastle County says unlimited growth is the winner in the new comp plan. Members debated the plan during their Monday night meeting at Keene Elementary School. President Francis West says they are opposed to the plan because the infrastructure cannot support the amount of growth they're predicting.
The roads are not adequate. We have a problem with water quality and perhaps water quantity. We know that our sewer system is not fully sufficient, and who's going to pay for any upgrades to that. So we have a lot of concerns about whether or not we should be predicting so much growth.
Martha Dennison of Newark wants more consideration for air, water, and arsenic and pollution cleanup.
I brought up the fact that we are not dealing with the chemical pollution issues. He did not want to deal with it. Well, I said we need some strong policy statements still. We made that very clear from the Civic League.
The county has agreed to extend the input period up to 6 months. I'm Curtis Gray, 1150 a.m., WDEL.
UD's lacrosse team goes to the polls. WDEL Sports and your Delaware AccuWeather forecast coming up.
Oh.
Is everything okay, ma'am?
Not really. I need to ride dark tomorrow to get to work, and I forgot to buy my dark card. I guess I'll have to find a ride.
Well, you certainly come to the right place. Didn't you know that Acme now sells dark cards and paratransit multi-trip cards?
No, where?
They're available at our customer service desk.
Getting you there now starts at your 12 Delaware neighborhood Acme markets. Dart and Acme have joined in partnership to be your one-stop shopping place for both groceries and Dart cards. It's now easier and more convenient than ever to pick up your Dart cards with Acme.
I'm Peter MacArthur.
I'm Melanie Armstrong, and here are Delaware's top stories at the top of the hour.
The most complete coverage of the news that matters in Delaware every weekday morning, 5:30 to 9 on 1150 a.m. WDEL.
In WDEL Sports, former Caesar Rodney star Ian Snell pitched 5 scoreless innings, leading the Pittsburgh Pirates to 5-1 win over the Phillies in spring training baseball yesterday. The Phils will take on the New York Yankees tonight in Tampa. The game on 1150 a.m. WDEL. Coverage starts at 7:10. And the Delaware lacrosse team lost to Georgetown, number 7, last week, but it did not hurt them in the polls. The Hens stayed at number 14 in the U.S. ILA rankings and moved up a spot to 16 in the Nike Inside Lacrosse poll. Delaware is 5-2 on the season and will end a 10-day layoff Saturday night at home against defending CAA champ Hofstra. Your WDEL Delaware AccuWeather forecast: cloudy, clouds and sun mix today. Very windy, though, a high 53. Tonight, clear and cold, low dipped at 26. And for tomorrow, sun and clouds again with a high reaching 48, up to 62 on Thursday. Get news updates throughout the day. Delaware's top stories at the top of the hour on 1150 a.m. WDEL, or anytime right here at WDEL.com, including news video from Delaware and around the world from WDEL and the Associated Press. I'm Chris Carl. Thanks for watching.